The offensive of Ukraine near Kherson began. Let's try to figure out what's going on in the south. Yesterday, official channels sent signals that a counteroffensive of the armed forces of Ukraine had begun in the south. I note that there were statements about the attack on Kherson before, but as a result, there were no attacks in reality. Now, however, the situation appears to be different. The fact that offensive operations have begun is confirmed in the ranks of the armed forces of Ukraine, which are fighting in the Kherson-Nikolaev direction. However, according to them, it is too early to talk about the results. There are heavy battles. Part of the forces are transferred from the Kryvyi Rog to the Nikolaev direction. The Ukrainian military clarified that the offensive operations were originally planned for mid-September, but then it was decided to postpone them to the end of August. At the same time, the military from several units located in the south of Ukraine at once stated that they were now being transferred to the front line. That is, at least the activation of actions is really going on there. It is noteworthy that in today's morning report of the General Staff of Ukraine, not a word is said about the counteroffensive in the south. And even vice versa, it is reported about the attack of the Russians in the Potemkino area in the Kryvyi Rog direction and that the attack was unsuccessful. At the same time, the Russian Ministry of Defense last night confirmed the offensive of the armed forces of Ukraine in the Kherson region in 3 directions, but they claimed that the offensive was repulsed with heavy losses for the Ukrainian troops. At the same time, Russian military telegram channels speak of active attacking actions by the Ukrainian armed forces in the Davidov-Brod area and massive attacks on the positions of Russian troops. This settlement is located northeast of Kherson and stands on the highway to Novaya Kakhovka. It is alleged that from Andriivka there is a Ukrainian offensive against the settlements of Sukhoi Stavik, Kostromka, and Bruskinsko. Moreover, in both Ukrainian and Russian telegram channels there are rumors about the capture of Sukhoi headquarters by the Ukrainian army, but there is no confirmation of this yet. Also, Russian military correspondents confirmed that the mobilized residents of Lugansk and Donetsk left their positions, which allowed the armed forces of Ukraine to break through the front in one of the directions. In general, the Russian telegram channels confirmed the start of offensive operations by the armed forces of Ukraine, but they claim that there is no serious progress and the areas already occupied by the Ukrainian military are being massively covered with artillery. If the main direction is the settlement of Davidov-Brod, then the general plan may be to move towards Novaya Kakhovka to Berislav, which is now under active shelling. This would make it possible to wedge into the Russian grouping on the right bank of the Dnieper and cut off the Russian troops that are operating in the direction of Kryvyi Rog from the main forces in the south. After that, launch an offensive against Kherson itself, including along the Dnieper River. But this is like a maximum program. The tactical task, apparently, is to cut the road to Berislav and disrupt the supply of Russian troops under Davidov-Brod. There is also information about the intensification of fighting in 3 more directions, near Blagodatny Partisansky, north of Kherson, near Pozad Pokrovsky, near Snezhurevka, and in the Vysokopolye region. In the direction near Pozad Pokrovsky, Ukrainian sources unofficially report the capture of the village of Pravdinsk. The Russians refute this. In other directions, there is no information about the breakthroughs of Ukrainian troops yet. I note that the fighting in these areas, and especially in the area of Davidov-Brod, is not the first offensive of the armed forces of Ukraine. There were especially serious attacks there in May-June, when the Ukrainian authorities sent signals similar to the current ones that a large counteroffensive had begun. Then the Ukrainian forces occupied a bridgehead on the left bank of the Ingulets River, just at Davidov-Brod. But then the armed forces of Ukraine could not advance further and were forced to retreat and leave the bridgehead. At the end of July, there were reports of the liberation of Andriivka from there. So now there is a new attempt to move in this direction. Moreover, judging by the information about the transfer of many Ukrainian units to the front, this time the offensive could be much more massive than before. This is also evidenced by the sharply increased shelling of the near rear of Russian troops in the Kherson region and Kherson itself, and Novaya Kakhovka and Berislav. But the Russians are also striking at the Ukrainian near rear. Nikolaev came under fire today. In general, we can state a significant intensification of fighting in the southern direction. The Ukrainian armed forces are indeed taking offensive actions, and the Russians are trying to stop them with artillery and rocket strikes. In turn, British intelligence in its new code states that on the morning of August 29th, several brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine increased their artillery fire on the front lines in southern Ukraine. Ukrainian long-range precision strikes continue to interfere with Russian security. However, it is not yet possible to confirm the scale of Ukrainian achievements. Since the beginning of August, Russia has made significant efforts to reinforce its forces on the western bank of the Dnieper River in the Kherson region. Most units around Kherson are likely undermanned and dependent on fragile supply lines via ferries and pontoon bridges across the Dnieper. There is a real possibility that Russia has taken steps to rationalize several semi-independent operational commands that contributed to its ineffective performance at the start of the invasion. If Ukraine succeeds in sustained offensive operations, the cohesion of this untested structure is likely to be a key factor in the resilience of Russian defense in the south. Meanwhile, a video appeared showing Russian troops moving military equipment from Crimea to the Kherson region. Please support the channel with a like and a subscription. Thanks.